Welcome back. This is Daybreak, and thanks for staying with us. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikader. With me in studio is the Deputy Government Spokesperson, Gabriel Muduma. Good morning, Gabriel.
Ayub, good morning.
Good to have you on the broadcast.
Thank you so much. It's always a pleasure.
And it's lovely that we'll be talking about a lot of events happening in the country.
Correct.
And let's begin with a look at the front pages. The Daily Nation says what the United Kingdom and the United States want from President William Ruto, and the separate pictures of the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the FBI Director, Christopher Wray, and the Central Intelligence Agency, the CIA Director William Burns, both from the United States of America, and the Chief of the Secret Intelligence Service, MI6 of the United Kingdom, Richard Moore, who had visited State House at separate times and met with President William Ruto. And an upgrade of Kenya's security surveillance system was also a matter that was discussed by the spy chiefs and the president. Another U.S. military base featured in separate talks between the president and foreign intelligence chiefs as established, and the CIA Director William Burns and the Britain MI6 Chief Richard Moore also expressed concerns with abductions and the manner in which the state agencies are targeting human rights defenders. That's on page number 4, pages number 4 and 5. In the meeting was also the Director General of the National Intelligence Service, Nordin Haji. And this is certainly a big, Gabriel, as we take a look at the other highlights as well.
It is.
And they seem to have raised one pertinent point, which has been a concern for Kenyans as well, and that's the abductions and the violation of the rights of Kenyans.
Well, Ayub, thank you, and good morning to our viewers. I think it has been quite a series of activities, as you put it out correctly. We've had great and serious visits from some of the top directors of intelligence, two from the United States when you talk about the director of FBI, the director of CIA, and also the director of MI6. And it's good to note that Kenya sits strategic, and having those two nations, not only as strategic partners, you know, they have been on the forefront of assisting this country, whether you're talking about gaining intelligence, or whether it's, strategically assisting this country on war against terror, and also a myriad of many other things that, they have been on the forefront to assist this country.
Yeah.
As it's the definition intelligence, there's quite a lot probably that we are not privy to. But as you've put it, there has been discussions of upgrading, like what you've said, the communication system could be that has featured probably in their discussions. And I also saw our Director of Intelligence also highlighting something similar to that. So there could be quite a lot of things that is on the discussion, that's on the plate, that we may not be privy to. But if you're talking about the concern that they have raised about the so-called abductions, again, that, as you can see, it's probably something that is being discussed currently. The president has come out clearly to also give his opinion on some of those so-called abductions. I remember the last time that question was posed to him, it was directed really to the security organs in this country. There also has been, if we are to be honest, Ayub, there has been slightly a lot of fake news and rumors, if we have to be honest, where even if somebody is arrested and taken to police station, a known police station, it still becomes abduction. So it's many people define an arrest as abductions. Where we are coming from as a country when those abductions were very rampant. And the president was very clear that that will not happen in his administration. And Ayub, if you're talking about a rogue element, a rogue security officer, or rogue police officers who would sometimes bend the law and probably do such abductions, it should then fall on the agencies that investigate to ensure that those individuals are brought to book, whether they are security officers, whether they are rogue policemen. There are laws, that are there to hold such individuals to account.
Yeah. Certainly there are checks and balances, but I expect you understand, Mr. Muduma, that if you are arrested, you'll be charged in a court of law.
Correct.
In 24 hours' time.
Correct.
What then was the justification, for example, for the arrest of Boniface Mwangi, who was released without a charge?
Honestly, I did not follow that much. But then again, as you saw, if we are to go by the things that me and you saw, he was arrested and taken to
Kamukunji police station?
A police station.
And later Central.
Yes, and then
later
Central.
Regional headquarters.
So from probably somebody else may look at that as an abduction. I have not seen the charges that were preferred upon him.
There were no charges.
Yeah. So and probably the right person who would come and answer that correctly, I think it's within the office of the IG.
But is it fair that you're flushed out of your home and then arrested without a charge?
First of all, again, Ayub, we do not know why, and these are some of the things you are not private to me and you when it comes to matters intelligence. We do not know. So it's until, the security forces, the security team that arrested him, that took him to the police station, the charge sheet, those are the people who would really be able to come and say, this is the reason as to why this particular individual was arrested. Okay.
But still, again, whatever even the security agencies bring, you must be held before a court of law.
Correct. And we have seen, to be honest, Ayub, I think we've seen those arrests. We've seen people being taken to court. We've seen some, probably are released. Some are told this is what they need to, these are the areas where they need to stick to. It's something that has been, in our foresight. But Ayub, I think it's also important for all of us to realize that yes, we have a constitution that all of us are subjected to. It is not just a particular group of people that are targeted by that constitution, and others are left, to do as they will. All of us are within we are all tied into that constitution.
Yeah, and one other matter that came up, according to the coverage done by the papers, is the government has also faced international condemnation for the abduction of 4 Turkish refugees who had fled persecution from their country, and they have since been handed over to the authorities in Turkey. That is as well.
Very on that. The PS,
to just ask you the question.
The PS actually gave. In fact, I don't know whether I have that letter, but I think you've also seen it. Yeah. He gave the views, and he issued a letter as to the agreements that were made between those 2 countries. So again, that letter was very clear as to why their repatriation was done. So very little we can say about that, Bona Ayub.
But why were they not given a trial?
Now that I would know. Again, those are matters that we are not privy to. These are discussions between these 2 countries. And the only information we would go with is what the PS for Foreign Affairs put across.
Because why I point this out to you is that Dr. Korir Singh said that all too well, the crimes they have committed bordered on treason. These were gentlemen who were in the country. At some point, they met President Uhuru Kenyatta at State House in Nairobi. The government had the records of what they were undertaking. One was the principal of Light Schools Academy in Nairobi. He ran the Harmony Institute. Serious educationists who were handed over to the authorities in Turkey and the government of President Recep Tayyip Erdogan. This is a clear violation of international law, is it? That you could...
I wouldn't know. Again, we go back to what these 2 officials are talking about. It's probably our opinions at this point may matter less, if you will. But there has been collaboration. If you're just looking at that particular part of the collaboration, you saw the other day, the same PS, Dr. Singoe, talked about a Kenyan who has been held in Saudi Arabia, and there was a stay. The Kenyan was supposed to have been executed by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, but it was pushed, and the country was given a stay for another 1 year as they continue to argue on the facts. And it was put out very clearly. We have had instances where our country has given Kenyan citizens out to, like the United States. You remember there was a case where an individual who it's alleged that he may have committed a crime, you remember, left Accra in the airport, got into a plane, came to Kenya, and he was arrested, and it took time for him to be repatriated back to the United States to face, to face the justice system. So I believe there's that collaboration, has always been. And very little would we know up until we are able to get, like what the PS wrote, up until when we get such information. That's probably when we'll be able to know what the facts are.
But
again,
you
nations continue.
You appreciate, Mr. Muduma, we can only compare apples to apples, not apples to oranges.
True, I agree.
The case of Saudi is totally different and has been in the works for some time.
No. Why I say that is to show you. Why I say that is to show you that there is always communication between nations, and much of it, what I'm trying to say is that we may not understand the nitty-gritties when you have two governments talking with one another. There are so many probably pointers really, or information, if you will, that we are not privy to.
And why I'm asking you that is, first, Saudi is a theocracy, and that was a subject matter given the actions by the Kenyan whose execution has been now called off. The point is here, there is a fundamental violation of asylum law. And the American spy chiefs, the head of the foreign domestic intelligence service of the United States, the FBI, and the CIA, William Burns, who are here. This is a country that hosted Fethullah Gulen, who was accused by the authorities in Turkey for being behind the 2016 coup, and in the exile that asylum he sought in Pennsylvania since 1999, thereabout, before the AK party came to power in Turkey. The Americans have never repatriated him or extradited him, handed him over, despite the accusations which were grave and by the government of Turkey. How then comes we have handed over 4 refugees under asylum law, and in clear violation of the same law that ought to be protecting refugees?
Ayub, we can actually regurgitate on that point until the cows come home. The office that is supposed to deal with that particular issue issued a statement. I do not think it would be wise, really, for any other entity to comment on that particular issue. The office that is really mandated, and PS Dr. Singoe put it out very clearly, the reasons as to why that was done. And that's why I'm telling you, we may try, dissecting that matter, but we'll never have a solution, because you have two nations that are talking to one another. All right, and if it's something done above board, they are the ones who know. This is the government of Kenya and the government of Turkey.
And you are the deputy government spokesperson.
And I believe they have done what is supposed to be done. They are in agreement. All right. So I think, Ayub, the point you're trying to make, it's your opinion. I can say my opinions, but my opinions are not right.
It isn't, Mr. Muduma. But why I'm pointing out to you?
After the PS has issued a communique, that goes to detail why certain steps were taken. I cannot second guess, such a communication.
And I hope you understand. The statement was in black and white.
Correct. Correct. So how can we? Are we going to analyze that statement? No, it's in black and white.
It's not about the analysis.
Black and white.
It's not about the analysis.
What else can we do?
The point of the moral authority question here, Mr. Gabriel Muduma, you being the deputy government spokesperson, and why I'm asking you that
let me tell you, governments talk in letters.
Okay.
Nobody has ever
so
told. Government talk in letters.
Okay.
So once the PS has issued that communication, you know, obviously I don't know the communication. We are not, we cannot, you cannot be privy to some of the communication that has been done beforehand. But once he issues such a communication and says, this is the reason as to why these 4 individuals, or whoever for that matter, these are things that happen. And they continue to happen. We've just highlighted it now, Ayub, honestly, because it is something probably that has, you know, that has gotten some world stage, if you will.
Because it's important, it's about human rights. And why I'm asking you again this is, yes, the Principal Secretary, Dr. Korir Singoye, pointed out in his statement, and it was very elaborate. He pointed that out and even gave justification thereafter. But were these folks given a trial here in Kenya before they were handed over to the authorities in Turkey?
I wouldn't know, honestly. In fact, what you're trying to have me do is, again, overanalyze. The same letter that you're saying was in black and white. Was in black and white. From my knowledge, if you're asking, there were people who were just going on with their business. But we are not, again, Ayub, we are not privy to the ins of this particular, whole issue, up until when the PS issued that letter. And as you've put it correctly, it's in black and white, and it gives reason as to why those steps were taken. And again, to overemphasize, Ayub, and again, we can, like I told you, you can regurgitate this until the cows come home. It's not a new thing happening. We've seen Kenyans from other jurisdictions brought home. We've seen the government give out, citizens who are, again, needed at home or needed in their countries. It is a normal occurrence. And all this is done when governments speak to each other. They are able to draft. These are the rules, or these are the reasons as to why these people are needed or are required to go back home and face whatever charges that has been preferred upon them. Okay,
so on the principle of non-refoulement, to be clear, forbids the forceful return of individuals to the regions where persecution awaits them. That's according to the United Nations law, which protects asylum seekers, including the 4 who were handed over to the authorities in Turkey. When we get back from the break here, Gabriel, a lot to talk about, including what's happening in the country, given the anxiety over another crucial IMF loan decision. Then there was the Supreme Court decision, a D-Day for Gachagua in the courts, and the transition to the Social Health Authority. And that includes the decry expressed by many Kenyans amid the growing out-of-pocket expenditure following the rolling out of the new healthcare scheme by the government on the 1st of October. The hashtag on X is Citizen Daybreak. The SMS code is 22422 at Citizen TV Kenya and at Ayub Abdikadir. More after the break here on the broadcast station.